A nice win for Celtic over Kilmarnock. It's our second successive 4-0 victory at home in the league. And did you know that we've now scored more home league goals under Martin O'Neill this season than we managed under Brendan Rodgers? Scott is here today. We've got plenty to chat about, both the match and a number of other things that are going on at the moment. Also here are Practical CBT. You can get their 12-week men's mental health fitness programme for just £25 at the moment. They also have free trials and personal coaching slots available to you as a Celtic AM listener or viewer. To find out more, just jump on the link at the top of the description. It's also pinned as a comment as well. Scott, we're struggling with the European stuff. We know that, but at least in the league, we're kind of digging in and winning some games.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good, aren't we? Good morning, everyone. No gravelly voice today, so you can hear me loud and clear. That was an encouraging performance. It was a good bounce after what was a pretty ordinary performance in Europe midweek. And I think Martin O'Neill recognised and alluded to that in his post-match comments as well. So it was good to get the win. And now we go into a much-needed break, and we'll see what happens there on a number of fronts.
Yes, we do have some thoughts from Stevie post-match, so this is what he had to say.
Hamish, hello. It's another world-famous edition of Just in the Door, as I am just in the door from Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0. Just getting out of the way, I knew Kilmarnock were bad. They're in a bit of a free-fall under Stuart Kettlewell. I think that's their 5th defeat in a row. But man, I didn't realise just how bad they were. It was pretty much summed up in the first 5 minutes when comically bad defending lets in Neil Hattati, who cuts it back, and Johnny Kenny makes it 4 goals in 4 games now under Martin O'Neill. And really after that, the game was done. Texted a few people, maybe even yourself, saying that's it, 3 points here. I think Kelly, to be fair to him, did hit a bar, and it was a good effort saved by Schmeichel, but again, we didn't really need to play well to control the game. It was all over after that first goal. I think they lost all self-belief, really. And when I saw Kettlewell on Friday saying that his players were scrapping and fighting with each other and training and after games, I thought, that's a team in a lot of bother, and I'll be surprised if Kettlewell was going to be Kilmarnock manager for when we played them next time at Rugby Park. But anyway, enough about them. Kieran Tierney made it 2-0 with a really good, accurate finish from outside the box. Remember, he scored against Kelly before, although it was a lot more spectacular when he hit it in the top corner to make it 2-0, I think, actually. Again, bang 2017. So, yeah, good to see him in the score sheet. And then Arnie Engels doing one of his trademark passes where he gets his entire body over the ball. We did that against Motherwell last season, and he's done it a couple of times this season too. Fantastic pass where he took out 2 Kilmarnock players, fed in Daisen Maeda. Really good finish under the Kilmarnock goalie. Eddie Beach, I think it is, who's absolutely terrible, by the way. And the points were safe. And then Yang does what Yang does, where he's world class when we're 2-3-0 up. He's hauled down after a really good run down the left, to be fair to him. And it was a stonewall penalty. Now, why he went to VAR, I do not know. Because even though I sit at 1-1-2, you could see the, from the opposite side of the ground, it was a stonewall penalty. And again, I don't know why it had to intervene, but thankfully, we got a penalty and Arnie Engels put it away for a really comfy 4-0 win. And I think we were looking at these 4 games. You pretty much felt that the game against Falkirk and the game against Kilmarnock were going to be gimmies, despite the fact that the team were in a bit of a rut when Brendan left. But Martin O'Neill has now got 3 wins out of 4. Really good win against Rangers to get us through to the final in the Cup. And then 2 basic league wins. And that's something that we hadn't really been doing under Brendan, because who knows? Maybe under the previous manager, we might have been huffing and puffing, taking ages to get the early goal, and then we end up going and drawing the game because we lose confidence or whatever. I don't know. It's all hypothetical, but all you can do is be what's in front of you. And after the real disappointment in midweek, actually, it goes further than that. I was quite angry in midweek, to be honest, looking back on it. Even though after the game, I remember saying, what's the point in getting frustrated and raging? I was sort of the next day, to be honest with you. When I just saw the goals back and thought they were just so easily preventable. But I'll let that go. I'm fine now. At the end of the day, Martin O'Neill came in, steadied the ship, and it does look as if he's probably going to be the manager after the break. Can't really complain about it. Ideally, I'd prefer us to get a full-time permanent manager in but it doesn't look as if it's going to be the case for whatever reason. And I think Martin O'Neill was at the game last night in Paisley with Mark following him. So, yep, just have to hopefully have the trust that he can navigate us through 3 really difficult away games after the break. And the breaks probably came at a good time where more players hopefully aren't going to be getting injured on international duty, because the latest casualty was Marcelo Sarace, who looked to be in a lot of discomfort coming off, although thankfully he wasn't stretchered off with yet another hamstring strain, it looks like. So we'll probably have to see how he is in the coming days. And I'm hearing that Alistair Johnston and Callum Osmond are going to be required in surgery as well, so we'll be without them, which is pretty crap news. But yeah, like overall, speaking about this one here, didn't really think we were going to be in any bother from it, and we ran out pretty easy winners. It's pretty much all you can hope for, really, after a really disappointing result in midweek. And we've cut the lead down to 7 points with a game in hand. So for a dark and horrible Sunday, Hamish, I'm going to sign off. No more moans from me, and I'll maybe talk to you after the break or something.
Dark and horrible, Scott. You get any sympathy for Stevie?
No. I'll take a little bit of sunshine, which we kind of got today. We've had a shock and run of weather the last couple of days and over the weekend, so he can have it. It's his turn. So
I think it's a year-round thing in Scotland. It's not like Stevie to mention the weather. A lot of ground covered there. The one point I wanted to raise from what Stevie said, and to be fair, he kind of answered this himself as he went on, but he said, Falkirk and Kelly were gimmies, and like I totally get what he's saying, and that like I thought Kelly were pretty abject. Their goalkeeper looked about 12 and played like he was a 12-year-old. I found that quite amusing, actually. Like that one where he came out and should have caught it, and it was an easy catch. I would have caught it, and he punched it away or flapped at it. There's one later on as well where we nearly scored from it. Kelly were really poor. I think Falkirk were better a few weeks ago, but obviously lost 4-0. My point was that like under Brendan Rodgers, none of these games were gimmies. Every single match was a battle, and that was proven throughout the start of the season. Like we very rarely, comfortably beat anyone under Brendan Rodgers. Maybe a couple of games, but the vast majority of games that we won were edgy, and I think 3 of them were with like last minute goals as well. So there's clearly been an improvement there, and I think Martin O'Neill deserves a lot of credit for that. We know the squad's quite limited. We can get on to the starting 11 and stuff, but in terms of like actually seeing a bit of an improvement domestically, there is no doubt that 2 4-0 wins in the league and a derby win over Rangers is a big improvement.
Yeah, I think that the one clear difference that's really coming through from all the players when they're spoken to is that they've been given their belief back. And that seems to go through the whole squad. And Luke McCowan post-game went to great lengths to say how much the training staff had got around that Martin O'Neill has instilled belief back into the playing group. So that's clearly, we're seeing the results of that on the field, at least domestically, where there is a better energy, more positive play. The players look like they're playing without a stone around their neck. And we're, like locally and domestically, we're going along okay. It's not perfect, but I think the greatest squad is far from perfect, as we know. So belief goes a long way in a player, and I'm glad to hear that players are getting that, and then they're producing on the pitch as well when they get their shot. Because I think there were some good performances today.
So the team that we named, Scott, was Schmeichel. We had Simpson Pusey brought in from not even the cold, but the wilderness to start out of nowhere, which kind of sums up how this season has been. But I was glad to see him make his debut at right back as well. We can come on to it. I thought he fared okay. Maybe a bit better than okay. Maybe that's a little bit harsh from me. Centre back, Trusty Scales, fine. Sarace, he got injured again. We'll touch on that. Midfield, McGregor, Hatate was in. McCowan was in, first start under Martin O'Neill for both of those guys. We had, Terekti, of course, on the left, Dyson on the right, and Johnny Kenny through the middle. What was your thoughts on that team when you saw it?
I was surprised, probably like most people, to see Simpson Pusey in there, and then not just getting a start, but being played out of position. Like you, I think he did all right. He looks confident. He doesn't look like he's out of his depth at all. You could see the limitation in play, particularly sort of the first 20 minutes or so, where he's sort of struggling to find the link with Maeda further up the field and was turning it back.
Yeah.
But as the game went on, he got better. He put a few good balls through, and he started to connect with Maeda up front. But yeah, I can't think of anything where he got beaten at all.
There's one
Maybe
moment like
late.
in the box on the left hand side where I thought he looked a little bit flat footed, and I think the guy took him down. Like, there was some funny comments from Martin O'Neill after the game. I don't know if you've seen this, but he said he was
Yeah.
asked about Simpson Pusey, and this is all on the Celtic Ways website, everyone. So check them out for the full quotes. He got off to not a brilliant start to begin with. I thought about taking him off after 4 minutes. Don't tell him that. But no, he did fine. I think he got applauded off the pitch, which was nice. Not necessarily by me, but there. But no, I was delighted. Honestly, really pleased. Obviously, Martin O'Neill's it's kind of his style, isn't it? Certainly, it's been his style since he's come back to the club. To not afraid to lay into the modern player, which is kind of his thing these days. I don't think he's a massive fan of how football has changed, which is totally fair enough. But quite amusing, I think. But probably, like, I don't know, I feel like footballers probably need a bit of that from time to time. Like, they're told they're amazing by everyone these days, and there's this whole thing of you can't criticise footballers because you'll hurt their feelings and damage their confidence and all of that. And I find it quite amusing when Martin O'Neill saying, yeah, he was all right, but started nervously, and I don't think he was any. Martin O'Neill's not telling us lies. He's not saying Simpson Pusey was the best thing ever and is now going to kick on and be Celtic starting right back.
Yeah, and I mean, it shows where we're at. Where the first Simpson Pusey sighting we get is him playing out of position. It seems to be the introduction for all new players now. Play out of position. We'll see how you go, and we'll either praise you up or knock you down. But yeah, I thought he was all right. Like, time will tell. No one really knows the reason why. This is, like, how many months has he been there? 4 months or so, and this is the first time we've actually really had a proper look at him. So, like most people, I think he went okay, and you hope that the improvement's there. And now that he's got a taste of it, you hope he can kick on, because he'll be able to get opportunities now with how thin our defence is, particularly wide. With Srirachi going down now, so he's going to have opportunities, and he's going to have to take them.
Yeah, I mean, we're struggling at fullback now, aren't we? So the update here is not a great one on Alistair Johnson and Callum Osmond. Martin O'Neill after the game says that they will both have surgery on Tuesday, so a busy day for the Celtic surgeon on Tuesday. He says they're going to be out for a long time, which is obviously not good news at all. I think it was initially felt that, certainly with Alistair Johnson, that maybe his hamstring injury wasn't going to be too bad. I think it would have been Brendan Rodgers that said that initially. And the scans, I think they had to wait a little bit of time before they did the scan and get the full extent of things. The scans have shown there's a tear in Johnson's hamstring. So, and I think he tore it earlier in the season as well. So he's going for surgery. So he's, you would think, going to be missing for a number of months from this point. Same with Callum Osmond. Marcelo Srirachi has also hurt his hamstring. You guessed it. I don't know what the hell is going on here, because Iheanacho, was he similar, and various other players? Like, I mean, it kind of reminds me of Ange's first season when we had so many players going down, but that was because they were getting used to Ange's style, and that kind of happens at all his clubs. I'm not quite sure what the story is here, but seems too many to be a coincidence.
Yeah, that's really concerning to hear that they've got to go in for surgery. I would think if I was to put my AFL hat and all the details they give you around particularly hamstring injuries, because it's a really common one, if they're going in for surgery, I wouldn't expect to see them back before the end of January. Like, that's going to be 8+ weeks. And that will also depend on whether there's any hamstring tendon damage as well. Not a doctor or a physio, but from watching enough sports and seeing hamstrings, like, every other day. It forced me to go and have a look at what we've got in the larger squad, who we've got out on loan, and that sort of thing, to see. Like, of course, we're going to have to buy some defenders in the January window, but knowing how our board works, who have we got on loan? Well, we got Robertson, who I think is at Cali Thistle, and we got Stephen Welsh, who's at Motherwell. And looking through the B squad that's current, I think they're all 16-year-olds who we're yet to really know anything about. So chances are some of those two guys, do they get recalled from loan to fill a bench spot with the possibility of making a game or two? I don't know what you do there, because we haven't got anything else within the squad.
So right back, you'll have it'll be Ralston, Simpson Pusey and Donovan probably kind of battling for that. But clearly Donovan, I don't know if he's picked up a knock, because I don't think he was even on the bench, or if he's just gone out of favour after, Brendan Rodgers, who was a big fan of him, leaving. So that right back, clearly that's not fine. That's not a fine situation, but we can hopefully find a way to get by the domestic games. Centre back, I mean, clearly Scales and Trusty have the position now, with Carter Vickers out for a while. Behind them,
you'd have Dane Murray, JSP,
Inamura, of course, but he's kind of miles off it and probably viewed as a left back. And then at left back now, you've basically only got Kieran Tierney, and hopefully Sriracha was able to walk off the pitch, wasn't he? So it didn't seem like I don't want to kind of tempt fate, but it didn't seem like it was a really bad one for him. It seemed like more of a tweak maybe, and just take no chances. We're really kind of down to the bare bones, and that's at the back. I mean, going forward, we still have a lot of issues. Right wing is just continually an issue. I know, Dyson scored and offered a bit in the match, but I still just don't get, and he was great against Rangers last week, but I still just don't get the impression he's the old Dyson, absolutely flying into things. He just looks a little bit kind of dejected at times. Dyson doesn't look like he's particularly happy, but I might be reading too much into that. But it's just a case of kind of getting through this. I mean, I honestly think we just need to win these domestic matches, almost to an extent. Forget about Europe and try and win this league, or at least get to January and we can maybe sign some players.
Yeah, I think, reading between the lines a bit of what Martin O'Neill said post-game, I think they're willing to sacrifice. Well, the realistic place for us is that we're not going to be going far in Europe this year. I think they're resigned to that fact from what he said. So it has to be the domestic football and having a squad good enough to have us winning the league at the end of it. But I mean, you throw into the mix. We got internationals. Did Ralston make the Scotland squad? I imagine he probably does.
You're acting,
he was making it when he was
as
on
if I'm a big Scotland fan here, Scott, and I keep track of these things.
But
I assume he would.
Certainly has, right? Tierney certainly has made the Scotland squad. So, like, we're going to be chewing our nails for 2 weeks, hoping that neither of them get injured, because that'll compound the issues at the back even further. And I thought Tierney was excellent when he came on today. He was really threatening, and of course he gets his goal. So, whatever blessing or superstition you got, or thing you got to wear or touch or whatever, put it in for those two boys, because we can't afford to lose them over this 2 weeks while the squad's inactive, essentially.
Yeah, Ralston and Tierney are both in the Scotland squad. And just when you're talking about internationals, a wee reminder to everyone, not a reminder you'll particularly want to hear, but we're not a million miles away from the African Cup of Nations, and potentially missing a few players from that. Tenekte is going to be going away with Tunisia. He's our starting left winger. Balikwisha, okay, he's not offered very much for us so far, but he might head away with DR Congo, although he's not really been called up for them recently. And Ian Acho could be away with Nigeria. So, I mean, you're almost questioning, what is the squad going to look like for some of these January games when they come around? As you say, it doesn't appear like Jota's going to be back by then. I mean, he's not going to be. Carter Vickers isn't going to be back by then. Johnson's not going to be back. Osman's not going to be back. And then you add in, I hate to say it, but you could pick up more injuries between now and then. Like I feel like we're not too far away from a game where we kind of have like a second string team out because it's all that we can field. But we just need to find a way to dig in. Just in terms of the game itself, Scott, because we've not actually touched on that. We've been on for a fair amount of time. What did you make of the performance?
I thought it was a controlled performance. It's not had sort of like the fire of particularly the first two games, I think, where it was like really all out attack. Today it seemed a lot more measured, and it was sort of like periods of dominance without giving Killy too much when we weren't dominating. But I thought our first 15 minutes was really, really good. It was possible if he took all his chances. We're talking about Johnny Kenny having a hat trick inside the first 15 minutes, because before he gets his goal in the 9th minute, he has a shot that came off the upright.
Yeah.
And then there was another cross, and he just missed on a header. So like that was a really good start. It shows intent. It shows that the team was up and about and playing some really good football against a pretty ordinary team. And we weren't prepared to sort of let it get to 40, 45 minutes or early in the second half to score the opener. So it was good to finally get an early goal inside the first 10 minutes. And it was a good goal too. The build-up play, both for the chance a minute before and then the one that Johnny Kenny actually took, like the play coming down the left-hand side between Tanecki and Srirachi helps create that uncertainty. They were getting good balls in. And, Johnny Kenny just bangs it in. 9th minute. Beautiful start.
Yeah, I thought they were working quite well when Srirachi was on the pitch. He was doing the overlap quite a lot, and Tanecki was doing that, drifting inside and then disguising the overlap pass. It didn't always come off, but they looked quite threatening. Yeah, I agree with you in terms of like getting the early goal, because that was like such a criticism under Brendan Rodgers this season, was that we just weren't scoring early goals. I think the earliest goal we scored under Brendan Rodgers was like 26, 27 minutes. The goal in I think it was the 10th minute for Johnny Kenny against Kilmarnock was by far the earliest goal that we've scored this season. So I just think it makes such a big difference to get that early goal. And as you say, even prior to that, we had big chances. Dyson has one after 2 or 3 minutes that he skies over the bar with his left foot. It was just a great chance. I think Dyson 6-9 months ago finishes that. And then, Kenny hit the post. We created a number of chances. I didn't think it was like a particularly like breathtaking performance, but I think Celtic were good. Like it was about as much as I expected against I just thought were like a really poor Kilmarnock team, and a Kelly team that ran us close at Rugby Park and have come to Celtic Park, I think, in a few times in recent years and have got results. And I just thought they offered very little to the game. Like it was just a totally defensive performance. They didn't really have any quality going forwards. And even when we took the lead, went 2-0, 3-0 up, they offered very little. And as I say, their goalkeeper was pretty poor. Kieran Tierney got his goal, his first since returning to the club, his 9th all-in for Celtic. First since Leipzig at home in the Europa League in November 2018, a goal that a lot of people will remember. Stevie said he also scored one against Kilmarnock, a total screamer in his first time at the club, but that was a good finish.
Yeah, that was a cracking shot. I thought that was just going to miss that post, but it was a perfect mix of placement and power, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was just like, you almost thought it was going to be a cross too, because the Callum Osman goal, in the semi, that was kind of like from that area at that height with that speed. So you expected someone to maybe come in and nick it, but it was just, I actually couldn't believe it got past the keeper. But since he's a 12-year-old, you probably expect that it should. But beautiful to see it. And as he described it himself, so it was a mix of relief and anger in the way he felt about that goal. Relief that he finally got one, but anger that it sort of had taken him so long to grab that opportunity. But great to see KT contributing on the scoreboard too.
Because he really, he should probably score more goals. As I say, he scored 9 goals for Celtic. I think he managed a few at Arsenal as well, and that's not bad for a fullback, but like the positions he gets into, like almost every game, Kieran Tierney will get the ball on like the edge of the box, and you'll think, right, have a shot or get something away in goal. So I don't know, like you do think maybe he could do that more often, but when he does, it's usually pretty spectacular. I think back just off the top of my head, some of the goals he scored, Leipzig, and I remember a few at Pittodrie that he scored when he's arrived at the back post and thumped it in, or that screamer against Kilmarnock. Like, he really does thump the ball well, but you just kind of want to see it a little bit more. But that will do a lot for his confidence. Third goal, I really like that. Arne Engels, typical pass. Was Stevie talking about a game against Motherwell? They were talking about that in Celtic TV as well, and I couldn't remember the moment they were talking about where Engels did that previously for Maida. But this one was certainly brilliant.
No, that was... Well, I think that's probably the first or second goal this year that started from right out the back. So the ball, Hatate gets Schmeichel going with a pretty heavy back pass. It was a good run by pass to Engels, a good run and a line splitting pass, which we just don't see enough from Arne Engels, but he's clearly got it. And then the finish from Maeda was probably something that we don't usually see, where that's got power behind it. And it was really well taken too. It's like one soft touch and then put the laces through it and in it goes. Again, I mean, it's the nearest post. So should would a better goalie save that? I actually think that was a good enough shot that would get past most keepers in the league.
Most 13-year-olds.
Yeah, most 13-year-olds. So yeah, it was a beautifully taken goal. Like that's a really good shot. And it was just good play. Like one touch out to a player to Maeda, and off we go. We get the sealer, like it was ever really in doubt anyway. But it was just a really good goal.
And then we got the fourth as well. Yang did his thing. I noticed there was a thread in a popular Celtic forum saying Yang looked really good. Maybe we should give that guy more of a go. Let's not do this, everyone. Let's not do this. It was Yang coming on at 3-0, and yeah, he looked lively, but he does when he comes on off the bench, a bit like Sead Haksabanovic, Mikey Johnson, whoever else you want to say. It seems to be a thing we've had with left wingers. So yeah, Arne Engels tucked that away 4-0. Any other players, things you want to pick out?
Well, Trusty got man of the match, and in my notes, I had him down at halftime as well. He looks like he's sort of stepped up to want to be a bit of a team leader. That's sort of the presence I'm starting to get from him at the moment. Some may call it a vibe, but like even midweek in the press conference, or leading up to this game anyway, he speaks really well and really confidently. And I think he's taking that out onto the pitch at the moment as well. He's had a disrupted season with that foot injury. And I just sort of feel like he's commanding that centre-back void that you lose when you lose a leader like CCV, who's also been a bit out of form. So having him back there, he's playing positively. He's winning the ball when it comes in. He's looking really solid. So I really liked his game again today. And Hatate, I thought Hatate probably played his best game of the season.
Right.
He was getting a bit more forward, but he was getting into areas where he could actually make a positive contribution. He wasn't coming all the way back for that dinky little 1-2 pass that then puts a defender under pressure, or he turns the ball over. He was actually getting balls in good areas and then passing to players in good areas and kept it going. He wasn't perfect, but from where his form has been this year, I thought today's game was a really solid performance from him.
I thought we were going to get a wee Don Robertson jibe there after that booking for Dyson was laughable. Like, he didn't even touch the guy. Brown was it, and Brown just completely faked the touch and managed to get Dyson booked. Like, I know VAR can't intervene, and I know we don't necessarily want VAR to be getting more involved in football, but God, I just found that really poor. I also really enjoyed the Celtic TV commentary calling out for a straight red card for the Killie player tugging Dyson back and then doubling down on it for the next 5 minutes, explaining why it should have been. You can't beat stuff like that. Okay, that was a game. A good victory, 4-0 over Kilmarnock. Obviously, plenty of other stuff going on at Celtic right now. There was a statement from the Green Brigade. I know, everyone, I'm going to tread carefully because I know Saturday's video got a fair bit of reaction. Listen, we're all Celtic fans, it's fine. So they put a statement up because it appeared that they were at the game today, rather surprisingly, saying, "Thank you to all of the Celtic supporters clubs, groups and individual fans who kindly gave the Green Brigade tickets for today's match. This is another demonstration of unity from the Celtic support, rallying around fans who have been mistreated by a Celtic board, clearly feeling the pressure and desperately trying to quell dissent. We appreciate that some fans stayed away from today's match in light of the decision to ban the Green Brigade. We encourage all fans to attend matches as normal while our band continues to keep supporting the team and to keep up the pressure on the Celtic board." So, yeah, good to see the Green Brigade there. Just in terms of results happening elsewhere, because a few games on Sunday, we don't need to bother about the Saturday games. In terms of Sunday, Aberdeen 1, Motherwell 1, Dundee 0, Rangers 3, and Hearts 1, Dundee United 1. So the gap to Hearts is now 7 points, but we have a game in hand. Not quite sure who that's against. I want to say possibly Dundee United, but I'm not 100%. Win that and you're 4 points behind Hearts. And a long way to go. Hearts have got a tough run of fixtures coming up. They've got to come to Celtic Park. They've got Rangers. They've got a derby against Hibs. I think St Mirren, who they recently drew with, they've got them again. So maybe a few cracks starting to show at Tynecastle. But we'll wait and see on that regard. And of course, just on the manager stuff, everyone, I think Martin O'Neill genuinely doesn't seem to know what the story is here and whether he's going to be in charge for the games after the international break. He's going back down to London for a few days. He says to sit in a darkened room and to work out whether this was all a dream. But he expects to find out a little bit about what's going on after that and whether we end up seeing him in charge for the St Mirren game after the break. My hunch is that he probably will be in charge for that, because I just don't see Celtic moving quickly in 2 weeks when they don't appear to have even done any interviews and having a manager appointed before the St Mirren game. But what's your thoughts, Scott?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think anyone really knows where that situation's at. I would think that if they've got someone lined up, they have to come in this week. I don't think you can have a new manager coming in when players come back from international duty. You've missed out on connecting with the players that are here, and then everyone bringing each other up to speed on what the new manager wants. I think if they don't appoint during this international break, they're going to have to stick with Martin O'Neill until the end of the season. Right. That's not my preference, but the reason I think that is, if you can't bring them in the middle of such a heavy schedule in December and January, I think that'll be too disruptive. And you're gonna need someone there that's steady during the January transfer window as well. I think it would be trying to do too much in too busy a section of games. So I kind of think that they will stick with him until the end of the year, which is not my preference.
Is there any chance they're waiting out on someone to finish their season somewhere, someone who's not available right now? I mean, I know Ketil Knutsen, the Bodo Glimt manager, has been mentioned to the extent that he was actually asked about Celtic after their game on Sunday, a 5-0 win over Bern. This is via TV2 in Norway, and Knutsen said, "Nothing is certain in life. I am here now and I am happy, and then we can enjoy a nice football match. It is hopeless to answer about other clubs. I answer as I always do. It should be something that is more exciting than Glimt." I wonder if that's what's going on here, and we're waiting for that season to finish. It's just not knowing, that's the thing, and not getting an update from the the club on anything really, other than
and
supporter
the
bands.
only contender I think that sort of fits this window is Wilfred Nancy. And I'm not against if they hire him. Where I get nervous is the fact he's only been a manager for a couple of years, and it might sound hypocritical given it's similar sort of talk around what was being said when Ange was coming in. But at least with Ange, as a fan, I've seen Ange manage teams since I was 16 years old. So I know I was confident that he could do it. It's just whether or not people had time and patience for him. Nancy's, from as far as I can tell, has only been managing since 2023. And whilst it's impressive, I'm just wondering if this might be just too soon for a guy like that. Whoever comes in, you got to back, right? But that's
the thing we
my
found
only
out under
reservation
Ange.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, regardless of who you appoint, the support are going to get behind them, but it needs to. I think it needs to be a good appointment. So you're just to conclude, you think Martin O'Neill till the end of the season? That's the way you think things might. Because Martin O'Neill doesn't particularly want it long term, I don't think. But
yeah. I'm just trying to. There's what I want, and there's what the board is likely to do. So. And you can have no faith that they will do the right thing because they haven't so far this last 18 months at least. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the fear that this just drags on. But maybe we start, getting the ball rolling and during the international break. I don't know why we waited until the start of the international break, if that's the case, when we've had 2 weeks since Brendan Rodgers left. But I don't know, maybe they've been working diligently in the background and are just getting ready to make their move. We'll have coverage of this throughout the international break, everyone. So it tends to be a bit of a downtime during the break. I don't think that'll be the case this time. I think there'll be plenty of Celtic chat, even though there's no matches, and we'll keep going with that. But for now, everyone, we'll say goodbye. Speak to you tomorrow.